about the man who shot and wounded former President Donald Trump at that rally on Saturday. Witnesses say that they saw a ladder leading up to the roof that Matthew Crooks fired from. Crooks reportedly brought that ladder hours before the shooting. We also know he practiced firing at a local gun range, and he and his family reportedly kept it to themselves. What officials still don't know, why he fired at the former president in the first place. People in Butler, Pennsylvania are still in shock.
It's shocking knowing that someone who grew up in the area that I go to school and graduated from there could do something like this.
Meanwhile, more questions about the Secret Service's rally preparation and response. Officials say people and police were warned of a suspicious person at the rally, but they couldn't find him. Next Monday, the House Oversight Committee will hold a hearing looking into the Secret Service response to the shooting.
The assassination attempt is driving up gun sales. The owner of the world's largest gun store says customers have nearly doubled as a result. Adventure Outdoors in Smyrna says it's seen a 40 to 50% increase in business nearly overnight. Eric Wallace, owner of Adventure Outdoors in Smyrna, says many Americans have lingering unanswered questions.
There's some distrust in our government out there where, a 20-year-old with no training nearly pulled off an assassination of a former president. And that seems unthinkable.
Adventure Outdoors usually sells between 40 to 45 guns per day. Yesterday, they sold over 80.
I'm Denise Stillen. What they had to say to county leaders during a public hearing coming up.
All quiet tonight other than being warm and muggy, but we are looking at more storms in the days ahead, and those more storms mean less heat across the region. We'll get into that in just a minute.
It's upsetting to think that they're adding to the burden. The general fund, which is the primary source of funding for most county services, could increase by $41 million. The majority of that will go to public safety. It will be used to fund overtime pay, since many departments have numerous vacancies, as well as cover the new 25-year step-and-grade wage plan.
The general fund proposed millage rate for 2024 is the same as what was adopted for 2023.
COP officials say the millage rate, which is the lowest among metro Atlanta counties, is staying the same. But since house values are higher, most will be paying higher property taxes.
It's like a little shell game that's being played.
While most of that money goes to schools, some goes to the county. Many in the crowd demanded the board roll back the millage rate.
Who is for keeping the millage rate the same? I think we want to roll it back.
After hearing from dozens of residents, Cobb County Commission Chair Lisa Cupid addressed the crowd.
We try to be as creative as possible to make sure that the impact of how we spend is minimized to our citizens, providing you the level of service that we believe that you deserve because you do live in Cobb County. And we do continue to deliver the best for a minimal cost compared to our neighbors.
If you want to find out more about the budget or give your input, there's one more public hearing coming up next week on July 23rd. In Cobb County, Denise Stillen, Fox 5 News.
All right, time now to get a check of the forecast as we're nearing the end of this Tuesday. And how will we feel waking up in the morning? Will we have a little bit of relief from the humidity?
I don't know. Seems like we're getting set for a lot of rain this week. Chief Meteorologist David Shanley tracking these summertime thunderstorms. David?
You'll have some humidity in the morning. It'll be out there. It's going to be kind of sticky to start the day. Certainly right now we're looking at a partly cloudy sky. Temperatures in the humid air fairly warm, I would say. A lot of 70s going on. Got the low 80s here. So as we go through the night, we're just not going to see much of a temperature change at all. And with all that moisture in the air, it just won't seem like it cools. By tomorrow morning, we're right there in the 70s now. So we'll have some areas of fog, especially where we had some rainfall this afternoon. And then by tomorrow morning, we're waking up to readings right there, for the most part, in the 70s. Got some 60s up there across extreme North Georgia. Average low is 72, so we're certainly in the vicinity. And then highs tomorrow, there you go. Got a bunch of low and some mid-90s out there, so we'll call that hot. And in fact, we've been saying that's probably going to be our hottest day now for the next week. We got some changes going to be rolling on in here, and we'll be tracking some showers and a few thunderstorms or so by the time we get into early tomorrow morning. We're not going to see much, and then tomorrow afternoon we see the buildup of some rain and thunderstorms across parts of North Georgia, and that may linger into some areas by your Wednesday evening. And then we see more storm chances in here by the end of the week. We'll detail that for you in about 10 minutes.
All right, David, thanks so much. A Norcross man faces serious charges in connection to a deadly shooting in Norcross. It happened Sunday behind the Shell gas station on Jimmy Carter Boulevard. Gwinnett County Police have charged Ernesto Garcia Bailon with felony murder, malice murder, and aggravated assault. Police say the victim was shot multiple times near a wooded area behind the gas station. Detectives are still gathering evidence and speaking to possible witnesses.
Gwinnett County Police have released the identities of those involved in an attempted murder-suicide. Police have charged Alan Dumas in connection with the death of Jonita Weaver. Dumas faces charges of murder and aggravated assault. Investigators got called to a home on Glen Summit Lane in Snellville Friday. They found Weaver dead and Dumas shot. Medics rushed him to the hospital. Authorities say his wounds appear to be self-inflicted.
A high-speed chase on I-85 ends with a big drug bust in Coweta County. Deputies say it started when they pulled over Corey Williams. He seemed nervous while talking to deputies. When deputies tried to talk to a passenger inside the car, they say Williams got back in the driver's seat and drove off.
Hey, no, get out of the car. Get out of the car. Jump in there.
Deputies say Williams hit speeds of 110 miles per hour during the chase. The two men threw white powdery substances from the car, according to police, and then tried to run off. Deputies tell us they found more than 10 pounds of meth and cocaine inside the car. Deputies arrested and charged the passenger with trafficking cocaine and meth. They're still looking for Williams.
New at 11, residents in Atlanta's Mechanicsburg neighborhood say that they have some major concerns about plans to build housing there for the homeless.
They say the neighborhood is already plagued with shootings and other violent crimes, and that housing will make matters worse.
Tonight they shared their concerns at a meeting with city leaders, and News Edge reporter Rob DiRienzo was there.
Well, some we spoke with who came out to this meeting expressed some big concerns about this project and what it will do to the Mechanicsville community. Today, they gathered a petition and handed it over to Councilmember Jason.
It's already roughing up down there.
We're concerned. We're very concerned.
These residents of Atlanta's Mechanicsville neighborhood are upset with the plan to build housing for people experiencing homelessness in their backyard.
Never have anybody came and said, how do you feel? What do you want? We told them at numerous community meetings, this is not what we want to see in Mechanicsville.
It's all part of Atlanta's rapid housing plan for the homeless. The city is partnering with Atlanta Public Schools for a land swap. The city will give APS 1.5 acres on Boulevard in the Old Fourth Ward near Hope Hill Elementary. In return, APS will give the city this 2-acre lot on Cooper Street that people who experience homelessness are already living on.
The status quo is not acceptable. Nobody should feel unsafe in our city, whether you're unsheltered, whether you have a home.
At Tuesday's meeting, city planners unveiled plans to incorporate all types of commercial residential homes. Councilmember Jason Dozier says, don't call it a homeless shelter.
They'll have a lease, they'll have rules of the road, the same way we have a landlord situation. And so it's a different paradigm with how we're addressing our unsheltered population.
Put the brakes on it, talk to the community, figure out what we need to do.
Mechanicsville Civic Association President David Holder says he's gathered a petition of about 250 signatures of residents opposed to the plan. He says he feels like these projects disproportionately impact this side of town.
I would say spread it out to the city. I mean, every time there's a new project coming along, the city wants to dump everything over here.
Dozier says he hears the concerns, and despite a desperate need for housing across the city, he wants to pump the brakes on this.
Admittedly, I have personally asked that, we slow things down just a little bit so we get it right. But I know the intent is to try to get as many people housed as quickly as we can.
And Councilmember Dozier emphasized that this is part of an ongoing dialogue. He says he wants to host another one of these discussions, but at a bigger venue in the weeks and months to come. In the Mechanicsville section of Atlanta, Rob DiRienzo, Fox 5 News.
Still ahead tonight on News Edge, hundreds of thousands still don't have power in Texas. Now, some people are saying that the state's infrastructure must change. The improvements they want to see.
And later, why a few pins are causing a big controversy for Delta Airlines.
Fox 5 News is brought
Don't
to you
like
by
having the
Charmin.
American
We all go. Why not
flag.
enjoy the go with Charmin.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger. For over
Power to protect allies from criminal investigations and that he acted as a foreign agent for the Egyptian government. A judge will sentence Menendez in the fall for what could be decades of prison time.
Roughly 270,000 homes. The prolonged outages are prompting criticism from local leaders demanding answers from utility providers. Infrastructure experts say outages like this serve as a reminder of how reliant we are on the power grids. But many components of power grids across the country are decades old and need major improvements to withstand storms.
So some of this is putting power lines underground so they're less susceptible to high winds, upgrading people's home energy systems.
Lacking power for air conditioners or fans during bouts of extreme heat can be dangerous. To better respond to victims suffering
82
heat-related illnesses,
degrees.
some emergency response teams have added polar pods to their arsenal.
The owner of Barstool Sports had to be rescued by the Coast Guard over the weekend after an incident at sea. Dave Portnoy said on social media that he needed to be rescued after his boat drifted to sea with a dead engine. The 47-year-old said another boater saw that he was stranded and radioed the Coast Guard, who rescued Portnoy and towed the boat back to mooring. In his message on social media, Portnoy thanked the Coast Guard for their efforts.
A Delta wardrobe policy is causing a lot of controversy coming up, why some say it makes it harder to express themselves on the job.
And one gas station in our area turning the clock back on prices at the pump. We'll explain when News Edge 11.
Yeah, look at those prices. Thanks, Uncle Joe.
Neighborhood is more than a name on a map.
It's where your family